like a lot of sunlight and blue skies today. Looks really nice. And what's going on today? I guess this was actually kind of crazy, where apparently in a very highly publicized event, someone got hit with a drone. It says here, PP's Aseefa Buddha Zardari at a Awami March in Kwanawal was injured when she was hit by a drone camera. So you can imagine, I guess, over there in Pakistan, this is a leader of a political party? That would make it even bigger, I guess. It's not just some average Joe. And there's various angles you can see of this. It seems like the drone at first was just capturing them, and then all of a sudden, I guess, it wham, hits her right in the face. Now, it would appear to be a phantom drone just based on all the videos and stuff like that. And it's kind of interesting how so many people were saying, oh no, this was like a terrorist attack or something like that. But just from reading everything, apparently it was a news station's drone. And this person, who I guess works for them, says here, an unfortunate accident happened during the PPP Long March coverage when our drone operator lost control of the drone camera and it hit Aseefa BZ. We hope and pray that she is safe and apologize for the mishap, but we also request PPP leadership to release our staff members. So I guess they were detained, for example, I guess, just for investigation to see what was going on. So according to them too, she returned to the march afterwards, but it says Bilawal's security team held the drone operator and an engineer immediately after the arrest and moved them to an undisclosed location. The remaining members of the team were also held and released after 1.5 hours, the TV said. You can imagine, like there, if it was a political leader, they'd be more scrutinized. Hey, what's going on and all that? Which would beg the question, what exactly happened? According to them anyways, they say it was a very experienced operator and they're theorizing it could have been like what? Signal jammers and stuff like that? It says here, initial information suggests that the drone carrying the camera lost control when signals were frozen due to the jammers installed near the container. TV drone are operated by remote controllers, but signal jammers at Bilawal's March disconnected the drone from the operator's remote controller, which was left with a blank screen, and the drone lost control, Sama TV reported. Speaking to the marchers, Bilawal Buddha Zardari said that Aseefa has been injured and the medics with the ambulance say that she will need stitches, but she is a brave person, being Shahid Rani's daughter. So there's a lot of things to think about in this story, I believe. For one, would you think it was, let's just say, a signal jammer that interfered with the drone and then it lost control? Or do you think it was, I guess, an operator error? And I guess with the actual accident itself, would you say in these situations, it's basically a quote incident versus say, oh, that's it, everyone can never use this ever again, like any news crew and so forth because of this one incident? That's something to think about. I personally feel overall it should be treated as such, an incident. And the other thing that actually got me thinking is just from a safety point of view, and you talk about things like regulations, how it doesn't make sense. Because you could argue here, well, you should have put like a prop guard or something like that on there just to be safer, correct? But imagine in some places, or a lot of places, the regulations are based on weight. So if you used a quote smaller, lighter drone, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm gonna put these prop guards there to make it safer, technically it's what? It's illegal now for you to fly that like smaller drone because of the weight, whereas it's safer. So that makes no sense in terms of like regulations and a safety point of view. And I know usually with stories like these, people would often say, oh, it's because of people like that. That's why there's what, over-the-top regulations for recreational people. You can't say that technically here, for example, because you have police officers crashing drones into helicopters and nothing's done. They basically just treated it as an incident. Otherwise, it would remind me of the story like yesterday, actually, where people were essentially trying to create rules for lockdowns and all that, not based on actual science or facts, but they're trying to find excuses to implement those restrictions. So people need to be more vigilant about that, in my opinion, than always just saying, oh, it's because of this, that's why we have that. I mean, it's more about who the heck is in charge here? What are they doing? Where's the consistency? And speaking of news organizations, I thought this was really fascinating. You've heard over the past couple of days how various places are banning Russian news networks because they claim they're giving out false information and all that. I often think though that's kind of a dangerous area to get into when you start banning this and that, whereas I think it should ultimately come down to people having all the material and then putting the pieces together, because this one here, It dealt with some kind of news organization called The Hill, and apparently they were banned from YouTube. So I was interested in finding out, hey, what happened? Because you can see in their post here, it says YouTube has temporarily suspended The Hill's channel for violating one of its policies. So I was kind of fascinated in seeing, hey, what happened? It says here, we covered former President Trump's remarks about Russia's invasion of Ukraine. In a soundbite, he repeated his claim that the 2020 election was stolen. Our discussion focused on what Trump said about Putin and did not explicitly rebuke claims of election fraud. So from what I gather of this, again, I don't follow politics much, but is there some kind of, I guess, buzz in the US or hot topic where people are claiming the election was, say, I don't know, stolen or something like that? But that is actually really disturbing. If they're just reporting the news and the platform determined based on a soundbite, oh, I don't like you even talking about that stuff, I will ban you. That is terrifying in my opinion. That's why it's really dangerous where just because you hate a certain organization or something like that, when you start encouraging people to say, ban this and that, what's gonna happen in the future? I would wonder. Basically, it's like thought police, I guess you could say. If you talk about this, that's it, you're gone. I don't think that's right. And I think that's kind of the example in the debate where is it right to start banning, I don't know, like here, various news stations because you don't like them? Especially in this case with the context, correct? That's all they're doing is reporting it. I mean, what's next? Alright, see you guys later.